Some say that we should be more cautious in our advance, that the warriors of the Inner Sphere are valiant and dangerous opponents. But we are the clans. We shall triumph in the name of the Star League. Caution? Let us throw caution to the wolves. With a long history of dependable and consistent results, there are a few battlemechs that fit the definition of workhorse better than the Marauder 2C. This 85-ton battlemech has been the bane of many, both Inner Sphere and Clan, and will continue to be a potent machine well into the ill-clanned era. Of course, it would be impossible to fully appreciate the 2C version of the Marauder without at least briefly discussing its inspiration. The Marauder, a staple of most of the militaries of the Inner Sphere during the Succession Wars and beyond, was first designed and produced under the Star League. The Marauder became one of the most well-known designs due to its firepower and unique non-humanoid shape. Often teamed up with other heavy and assault mechs, the Marauder earned its reputation as a brutally efficient weapon of war. Though initially the numbers found in battle dwindled through attrition along with other weapons of the Succession Wars, the great Inner Sphere houses were eager to replace their stocks. Production lines would eventually be found across settled space, and with upgrades following the discovery of Lost Tech and the arrival of the clans. However, that's another video. Among the stock of mechs that traveled with Alexander Kerensky's SLDF forces into the periphery were a good number of Marauders. As with so many other classic mechs, Clan designers saw the value in retaining the iconic look and basic functionality of the Marauder when they were designing their upgraded Marauder 2C battlemech. The final product is one of the finest weapon platforms ever created. In fact, it wasn't until the clans developed OmniMech technology that anything could come close to the Marauder 2's performance and gravitas. In basic terms, the Marauder 2C takes the classic Marauder design and builds upon its strengths. 10 tons heavier than its inspiration, the Marauder 2C takes advantage of every advanced clan technology of its time. From the mech's endosteel skeleton to the weapons and ferrofibrous armor, there isn't an ounce of weight wasted. Okay, maybe the cool fins on the torsos, but come on, they look so cool. Though the Marauder 2C and its later variants would be common across the clans, the label of second-line mech is a bit of a misnomer. Just as with the design for the Highlander 2C, there is a prestige which elevated the Marauder 2C to be a mech coveted even by first-line clan warriors. In fact, the Marauder 2C would be seen amongst the forces that fought on the trials on Tukiad. With a max speed of 64 km per hour and no jump jets, the Marauder 2C is not built for speed. What it is built for is systematically and brutally rendering its targets into scrap long before the target can get close enough to return fire. With 3 double DDS Kingston ER particle projection cannons and an astounding 21 double heatsinks, the Marauder 2C can absolutely make this threat a reality. Even the strongest of assault mechs can only hope to close in on it with weapons like the AC-20 before being blown to smoldering bits by the sustained fire from those 3 PPCs. While firing all 3 isn't heat neutral, the Mechwarrior can dance on that line by firing 3 and then 2 on alternating turns, or if they're feeling bold, push that to 3-3 and then 2 without suffering any significant effects. A -1 to movement isn't a big deal when you're already not likely retreating. Now, if a mech does close the distance with your Marauder 2C, you're not helpless. 2 medium pulse lasers built into the right and left arms can be useful in hitting those speedy light mechs, along with 4 ER small lasers found across your torsos. While it isn't a tremendous amount of short-range weaponry, it is enough to keep a mech honest. And remember that ER PPCs don't have a minimum range, so your target slows enough to take that realistic shot, you might get lucky and apply 15 damage to end a light mech warrior's career. 2 often overlooked gems of the Marauder 2C are the superior Series D8 CC25XA communication system and the Hermes CT42 Mark II targeting and tracking system. The electronics package only enhances the wildly successful systems that made the original Marauder so attractive to battlefield commanders. Causing large amounts of damage at range while remaining relatively well defended and able to communicate effectively with your warriors led to many blood-named clanners choosing to field the Marauder 2C over other designs. Though this popularity would fade a bit with the introduction of OmniMech technology, it would still not be unusual to see a Marauder 2C used as the command mech in a frontline binary or trinary. Popular across the clans, the original Marauder 2C design was favored by Clan Jade Falcon, which kept producing it long after other variants became more popular elsewhere. This fondness for the design persisted all the way through the Dark Age and into the dawn of the Ill Clan era. When GE Chistu arrived in the Quarrel system and dropped a Bachal on the Dominion Bear Forces planetside, the local commander, Star Colonel Emilio Hall, was astonished. At this point, it was assumed that the entirety of Clan Jade Falcon was either dead on Terra or there working with the Ill Clan. After some back and forth, and Chistu offering up a vault ship full of collateral, Hall agreed to the terms of the Bachal. He assumed that the Falcons would be true to form and run fast battlemechs to take advantage of the Mongol doctrine. What he didn't know was that GE was no fan of that Mongol doctrine. Instead of running lights and fast mediums, Chistu deployed roughly 2 stars of assault mechs, consisting of mechs like the Turkina, Bane, and yes, the Marauder 2C. Only after the bears were hammered at range did the Falcons sweep in through their rear lines with the lighter mechs. Chistu used every trick in the book to win in what really was just one of many desperate acts to save the clan from total obliteration. Ultimately, the Falcons won the battle through a personal duel between Chistu and Hall. The Falcons left Quarrel with a cluster of young warriors nearing the end of their Civco training. Though the cost of the venture included many mechs and some skilled warriors, Chistu had gained many more future warriors to bolster the Falcon ranks. The Marauder 2C deserves at least a little credit for making that victory possible. A little can go to GE Chistu too, I guess. Of course, like so many other 2C designs, there were attempts to improve on perfection when new technologies or situations demanded it. Unfortunately for historians, the accepted numbering scheme of the Marauder 2C doesn't necessarily follow a chronological order, so please forgive what will seem a little bit like time jumping. The Marauder 2C2 was an upgrade created by Clan Star Adder as a part of their plan to humiliate Clan Bloodspirit during the Wars of Reaving. The long feud between the two clans came to a head as the Bloodspirit forces on the planet York were targeted for eradication. Galaxy Commander Stanislav Nbuta was tasked with retooling the Adder's Beta Galaxy and using mechs like the Marauder 2C to crush the Bloodspirit forces with mechs deemed second line even though they were equipped with the latest technology. The Marauder 2C2's structure is largely the same, though it does have a couple of additional heat sinks and 4 tons of jump jets. If you needed a moment to calm down after imagining a jump jetting Marauder 2C, I understand. Go ahead, pause the video, go get some water, perhaps take a cold shower. We'll be here when you get back. Removing the 3 ER PPCs and replacing them with a pair of heavy large lasers and an ER large laser is a bold move. It retains the 2 medium pulse lasers, but drops the quartet of ER small lasers. Now that I know the shift up to 18 damage with the heavy large lasers is tempting, but they come with a loss of accuracy that can be painful for the uninitiated. The mech's 24 double heat sinks allow it to fire all 3 main lasers while remaining heat neutral, which is a plus on an otherwise side-graded design at best. Heavy laser technology has been unreliable and sometimes flat-out dysfunctional since its first creation, and reports of this from the field have been minimal in the Marauder 2C2. Though it was considered successful in the eradication of Blood Spirit forces on York, along with ruthless orbital bombardment of every large settlement, the Marauder 2C2 did not see widespread adoption. Now, it was reported within the tumens of the Cloud Cobras, Diamond Sharks, Snow Ravens, and even Clan Blood Spirit through the repair of mechs once used against them. The Marauder 2C3 is actually a variant of the 2C2, which re-adds the ERPPC in each arm with an ATM-12 launcher in the left torso. For close-range fights, it has 2 ER small lasers in the torso. It sports 22 double heat sinks as well. The installation of the ATM to provide missile cover at all ranges is interesting, and one of the few times you actually see missiles on a Marauder 2C, but I personally would place both the 2C2 and 2C3 in a category of side grades that are good if you're really into heavy large lasers or ATM missile racks. Other than that, the original loadout holds up as well or better. The Marauder 2C4 was developed in 3070 under the umbrella of Clan Ghost Bear after their supply of the battlemech was cut off in a trade war with the Diamond Sharks. As if it were an act of defiance in itself, the mech's armed-mounted ERPPCs were replaced with Hyper-Assault Gauss Rifle 40s. The guns are so massive that they had to be built into both the arms and the torso of the Marauder's body. The 10 tons of ammunition distributed throughout the mech provide 15 shots per rifle, so we're not looking at a battlemech that's going to be going on campaign without a ready supply of ammunition nearby. While the mech has no other weapons besides the 2 HAG-40s, it does have 3 jump jets to provide at least a little mobility should enemies close in. The Marauder 2C4 really puts all its eggs in one basket with the 2 HAG-40s. Well, 2 baskets, I guess. While they can do tremendous amounts of damage, it also makes the mech more dependent upon support. I'm going to drop this into the side grade slot as well, as I'm generally wary of giving up a well-rounded generalist design for one that is really only useful in select circumstances. Your mileage may vary. Though the Jade Falcons had a fondness for the original layout, the Marauder 2C5 was produced on Sudeten starting in 3077. It retains the ERPPC in each arm, but replaces all the other weaponry with a Hyper Assault Gauss Rifle 20 in the left torso and an AR Gauss Rifle in each arm. Considering the time period with the rise of battle-armored infantry across the Inner Sphere, it's not shocking to see an attempt to give the Marauder 2C a variant more suited to dealing with them. The 2C5 drops down to 19 double heat sinks, but still runs heat neutral while alpha striking. As far as updates go, I think this one is pretty solid. It doesn't give up that long-range punch, but it does address this new need. Teaming this variant up with the OG Marauder 2C could cover a lot of bases and make for a very dangerous duo. Extensive use of the Marauder 2C5 across the Lyran front during the Word of Blake kerfuffle years led to quite a few ending up salvaged and in the hands of forces other than the Jade Falcons. In 3081, the Jade Falcons introduced a unique variant. The Marauder 2C6 was given an XL engine which bought weight that was then spent on a series of 6 improved jump jets along with a completely swapped out weapon set. Being able to jump as far as it could run had to have taken more than a few opponents off guard. The ERPPCs are swapped out with a Gauss rifle in the right arm, an LB-10X in the left arm, a large heavy laser in the right torso, and a pair of ER medium lasers split between the arms. What the Falcons ended up with was a very mobile, 85-ton battlemech with decent armor and a hodgepodge of weapon systems that could be an ideal mid-range brawler. I haven't personally used this version of the Marauder 2C, but I want to. It could be quite effective. If the Marauder 2C6 is the mid-range brawler of the family, the 2C7 is the heavy weapons carrier. Gorton, Kingsley, and Thorpe Enterprises introduced their new interpretation of the Marauder 2C from an assembly line on Satellus. Equipped with a 255 XL engine, the 2C7 drops the top speed of the mech to only 54 km per hour in order to exchange that tonnage for additional weaponry. Speaking of weaponry, it has plenty. In the right arm, there's a Hyper Assault Gauss Rifle 30 and a Streak SRM-4. In the left arm, a standard Gauss Rifle and another Streak SRM-4. In the right torso, a large pulse laser adds an additional punch. An ER small laser in the head is added for those short-range issues where only a small laser will do. This mech is blessed with an ECM suite in the center torso, as well as a targeting computer in the left. So, in short, we have a mech with a substantial punch that's hard to pick up on sensors and can likely hit you better than you can hit it. Not too shabby. Trading speed for firepower has shifted the use of the Mechwarrior 2C7 to a more defensive posture, but that hasn't diminished its deadliness. Battle reports have suggested that the well-dug-in 2C7s have held back significant pressure, at least until their ammo runs out, which is a flaw in the design. The HAG-30 has only 12 shots, the Gauss Rifle 16, and the Streak SRM racks share a supply of 25 shots. In a long enough battle, you're left with a slow 85-ton battlemech with a large pulse laser and an ER small laser, so user beware. The Marauder 2C8 is an odd duck chronologically, as it dates back all the way to 3025 before the clan invasion. As it turns out, the Inner Sphere intel folks didn't get word of it until long into the days of the Word of Blake in the 3060s. It's a much more standard sort of upgrade to the original setup, swapping out one of the ERPPCs, the left arm one, in exchange for an LRM-10 in the left torso and 4 medium pulse lasers and an ER small laser for close-in fights. Being a fan of pulse lasers in general, I'm pretty fond of this variant. Sure, it gives up a little bit of punch at that long range, but that LRM-10 is versatile, and the mech is better with heat management, and 4 medium pulse lasers can do a significant amount of damage in the medium and short ranges. I might even take the extremist position of stating this is a more well-rounded design than the original. Shocking, I know. The Marauder 2C9 is also a much older variant, which leaves the 3 ERPPCs but pulls all the other weaponry in favor of a pair of Streak SRM-4s. It also has 22 double heat sinks, which allows nearly continuous fire with all 3 ERPPCs without serious heat issues. This variant has only ever been seen with Clan Jade Falcon forces as of this report. It's interesting, but I don't think I would trade medium pulse lasers for streak SRMs as a last-ditch close-range weapon. That improved chance to hit with the pulse lasers can make a big difference. Finally, the much-lauded Marauder 2C10 stomps into our last position on the list. It's the newest of the variants, first seen in action in 3140, and coincidentally, it happens to be my favorite. The production of an XL engine keeps the top speed the same as the original, but buys tonnage for the addition of 6 improved jump jets. Yes, the jumping Marauder is back, ladies and gentlemen. Only one of the ERPPCs is retained in the left torso, and in the arms are 2 large pulse lasers and 2 medium pulse lasers. For close-up fighting or evaporating infantry, there are 2 small pulse lasers in the side torsos and 2 ER small lasers in the center torso. With 20 double heat sinks, the 2C10 is not quite heat neutral if you fire the PPC large and medium pulse lasers together, but in a tough situation, that partial alpha strike with all of your heavy and medium weapons could put you at only 9 heat, but possibly generate up to 65 damage on a close-range target. With the increased chance of hitting with the litany of pulse lasers, your odds are pretty good of doing most of that damage on a standard moving target. If you're a fan of pulse lasers on a clan mech, you may want to give this variant a try. If you hate clan pulse lasers, I would give the Marauder 2C10 a pass. So what are we left here with the Marauder 2C? Across the variants and the long history, it's arguably as iconic a design as the Inner Sphere cousin. Maybe the Inner Sphere Marauder fans will disagree. I just remember seeing the Rao Partha designed Marauder 2Cs and being impressed by how different they were from all the other mechs on the field. I just had to pick them up. The color images of the 2C mechs in the 3055 TRO may have been borrowed from another game, but I didn't know that as a young teenager. I was just blown away by the unique look and have been ever since. The 2Cs have been personal favorites. The 2 future boxes that are 2C focused in the latest Kickstarter were a big draw. I'm eager to see some of these mechs in CGL plastic. Years later, I rediscovered the pewter versions of the Marauder 2C in my box of mech parts, and I ended up painting them up for a video. Picking green and orange to celebrate their Clan Jade Falcon loyalty, I think they turned out looking pretty good. But let me know what you think. Do you have a favorite Marauder 2 tabletop story? Or a favorite variant? I'd love to hear which is the best loadout in your opinion. Thanks as always for watching. Remember that hitting all the buttons makes YouTube happy and lets me know I'm doing well here with these videos. Becoming a channel member provides access to our Discord, member posts on the YouTube channel, and the warm, comforting feeling that you're directly helping to make more of these videos possible. I'm likely to do another members poll soon for possible mechs and battle armor for upcoming videos. Until we meet again, take care and go make the world a slightly better place today and tomorrow.